today surrendered. The last of our enemies is laid low. At this time, we should pay tribute to the men from this country, from the dominions, from India and the colonies, to our fleets, armies and air forces that have fought so well in the arduous campaign against Japan. Peace has once again come to the world. Let us thank God for this great deliverance and his mercies. Long live the King.
The words of Britain's Prime Minister Clement Attlee give the signal for London crowds to proclaim victory in the East. Canadians on BLA leave and on their way back home join with British civilians and Allied troops in painting the town red. In the heart of empire, massacring millions make merry as total peace descends on a war-weary world. During a two-day holiday proclaimed by the government, the joy of a nation is expressed in scenes of wild fiesta. Holland, presses which printed underground papers during German occupation now propagate the glad news that the Eastern War is over. In the Low Countries, sober joy is the general reaction to victory. In Oldenburg, Germany, the news of Japan's defeat is brought to the Germans through the medium of their civilian newspapers. At headquarters of the Canadian Occupational Force, the ops staff keeps track of the tactical picture painted 6,000 miles away. The signature of success completes the design of victory sketched by master Allied hands. On the first peacetime Sunday after nearly 6 years of war, the royal family attend the service of Thanksgiving at London's bomb-scarred St. Paul's Cathedral. Royal trumpeters hailed their majesties and representatives of the United Nations. Through the dark years of tribulation, the empire stood fast. Now, as thanks are given for final success in the field, the British Commonwealth of Nations turns to the task of winning the peace. With steadfast leaders to guide them, the great difficulties which lie ahead will be surmounted by the same courage and hope which won victory and peace. At the Maple Leaf Stadium, Nijmegen, the feature attraction at the Inter-Services Track and Field Meet is the CWAC Pipe Band. Recently arrived from Canada, its braw music inspires the trackmen to hop to the job of breaking records. The men of the Canadian Army and the RCAF enter into keen competition before Princess Juliana of Holland, their guest of honor. The skirl of pipes and the roll of drums of the combined CWAC bands gets a great response from packed stands. General Simmons and Prince Bernhard urge on the men of the Flying Heels as they burn up the track. Princess Juliana does the honors as prizes are presented to the winners of events. To the High Point winners goes the quart-size cup. The Canadian forces in the Netherlands tallied the highest average score. The inspiration of the band sure works, as 2 Canadian records are broken at the Inter-Service Sports Meet. The hospital ship El Hill arrives at Halifax Harbor to receive a grand ceremony of welcome. It brings a cargo of wounded veterans back home. Major Fred Tilston, V.C. of Windsor and Toronto, is greeted with open arms by his fellow countrymen. After a brief stay in Halifax, he entrains for Windsor, where a gala civic reception is held to do honor to his return. Accompanied by his 2 sisters, he is feted by the hometown of his regiment, the Essex Scottish. General Paul Martin, Secretary of State, leads the folks of the border city in an uproarious welcome home. Mayor Bohm presents the popular hero with an illuminated scroll and the freedom of the city. In front of the cenotaph at Toronto City Hall, the Queen City turns out to pay respects to their distinguished citizen soldiers. Veterans of the last war form the Guard of Honor. Sincere indeed is the welcome accorded the man who wrote a distinguished page in Canadian Army history at the Hochwald Forest. After all the ceremonies, home looks mighty good. Neighbors add their welcome to the return of the happy warrior, Major Fred Tilston, D.C. In western Germany, 3,000 horses and carts are placed in readiness for a trip to the Netherlands. Animals seized by the Germans on their retreat through Holland are now being returned to their rightful owners. Under the supervision of the Royal Army Veterinary Corps, horses are treated for various ailments in the staging corrals on the road to Holland. German veterinaries and tradesmen do the work which keeps the convoy rolling. The majority of the horses were taken from Dutch farmers in Jerry's mad scramble to avoid advancing Canadians. Later, others were loaned voluntarily to the cause of getting the Germans out of Holland as quickly as possible. Claims have been filed by Dutch farmers. Each horse will be returned to its rightful owner after the job is done. As the convoy reaches the Dutch border, Holland drivers are ready to take over the rest of the journey. Each animal is checked for color, markings, and other peculiarities so that his owner's claims can be met. Replacing German drivers, Dutch farmers pilot the wagons to their destination. After the job of transporting the Jerrys back home is finished, the horses are returned to the farmers who own them. Welcomed like an old friend after his many adventures, Dobbin is officially demobbed without the worry of counting up his points. His post-war job starts right in with a bang, less the customary 30 days leave. Even at that, plowing dirt is better than hauling Jerrys back to Germany. On the third anniversary of Dieppe, a ceremony of commemoration is held. In the military cemetery, 800 crosses, row on row, marking the resting place of the Canadians who fell in that great adventure, are honored. Ago, August the 19th, 1942, the first light of dawn saw the launching of the attack on Dieppe. Unforgettable scenes keep ever fresh the memory of that desperate venture. On August the 19th, 1945, a plaque is unveiled on the farthest point reached 3 years before by the Queen's Own Cameron Highlanders of Canada. The Canadian ambassador to France and the chief of the General Staff view the beach where the Royal Regiment of Canada landed under a hail of fire from the enemy. A plaque is also dedicated to the memory of their gallant struggle. The Mayor of Dieppe and General Vanier lay wreaths on the memorial. Flag fashioned by the citizens of Dieppe is presented to the 2nd Div Commander, General Matthews, as the impressive march past files through the streets of the town. Now that peace has come to the world, 3 men cherish the memory of those gallant souls who made it possible. Honor and glory to those whose fight against great odds aided the cause of freedom. we remember those who laid the foundations of victory on the bloody beaches of Dieppe.